did the risk assessment completely, you ensure that data governance is in place, you have whole human override mechanism and they're tested, you configure the monitoring, and so on and so forth. The second one would be some sort of a quarterly health diagnostic. So, as an example, are risk reviews current? Do controls have implementation evidence? Are non-conformities open too long? And so on and so forth. The third would be a regulatory quick reference. Again, this is completely dependent on where the organization sits, which regulations are relevant for this organization. And it helps teams pretty much translate external obligations back into the structure of the AI management system based on the obligations of each regulation. And finally, the fourth would be some sort of management review question. Again, this comes way later in the roadmap after implementing the AI management system. So, for example, for the management to review questions like, are we achieving intended outcomes? Our risk treatments effective? Do we have the right resources? Have external changes affected the AI management system? And so on and so forth. So, if an organization can somewhat operate these four tools consistently and evidence them clearly, that's very important, and also review them regularly because everything is changing really quickly when it comes to AI, then governance of this organization might become somewhat audit ready. So that was it from my side. Well, if I were to leave you with one sentence, is that if if an if an AI management system of an organization cannot show repeatable decisions and named accountability and inspectable evidence, then their AI management system is not yet operating, but it's only described. Might sound negative, but it's a first step towards operationalizing it at least. That was it from my side. I would like to leave some time for questions. Not
Thank you so much, Prescal, for that insightful and in-depth session. I see that we have few of the questions here in the chat box. And Samir asks, the AI risk taxonomy shown in the presentation is based on which standard?
So, should I just respond?
Yeah.
So it is not based on any specific standard. I use this based on some of our client works, and like I said, it's not an exhaustive list, and the grouping is very open. It can be grouped differently. So sometimes we work with threats, and we do threat groups, and then we imply specific risk from it. Some work more control based, so they don't focus on the risk taxonomy as much as fulfilling the compliance controlled obligations from the EU Act. Again, I talk from my experience. So yeah, I wouldn't say this is exhaustive best practice, but rather more of an example of the fact that AI risks can be very unique and very different than the current not general, but cyber specific risks and enterprise risks. And it's important to always look after, yeah. I would recommend, so MIT has a risk taxonomy. I very much like to work with it. It's usually exhaustive and up to date. I'll maybe check the link really quickly now, and if I can send it in the chat, I will.
Thank you so much, Prefkal, for that answer. And the another question is how to check as auditor if AI policies link to AI strategy.
If AI. That is very specific. So to be honest, with again, I speak out of experience. Most of the experiences we have is that organizations run to create an AI policy and less of an AI specific strategy, but they try to create KPIs on how the AI policy has a business has business fitness with the general business strategy of the organization. I've honestly never worked more in the direction of strategy, but more focused on policy. So I would say Um, Not honestly not sure how to check it also as an auditor, but I would always look at business fitness. So if there's a business fit between the policy and the strategy by ensuring that principles from the policy align with the general principles of the organization itself. Yeah, maybe think about it maybe at the end of the session if something better comes to mind.
Thank you so much, Prescal. You can take your time. And meanwhile, you all can keep dropping your questions in the chat box, and I'm taking some questions from the live as well. So there's this question: how can company prepare for audit or compliance checks under ISO 42001? Is there any particular way?
So I would say everything that I've said is the beginning of it. You need to have the operational model. You need to have to ensure that you implement. So they're pretty much like three, four things. You need to have AI intake processes. You need to have risk assessment processes. You need to have control or treatment plan and monitoring processes. I would say you have this established workflow to ensure, and with each you need to ensure that there's proper hard artifacts coming out of it, that you're tracking it. So with these artifacts are evidence that you have implemented these aspects, and they are auditable. So the auditor can look into these. You need to also maybe create some KPIs on how you're tracking this, how have you monitored the whole AI management system. And these are also artifacts that the auditor can look at. Again, I don't come
Thank
from
you.
auditing, so maybe if, yeah, that's at least some insight on how it looks like, would look like, in my opinion, I envision.
Thank you so much for that answer. And the another one that we're having is, what could be the one practical first step to start building an AI governance workflow?
Practical what?
What would be the one practical first step to start building an AI governance workflow?
So, um, so we usually when we talk to clients, we always try to sell the AI policy as the first low-hanging fruit. Like I said, in my opinion, I do not envision this as the go-to governance tool, but it is a low-hanging fruit. So you can create it really fast to focus on the soft layer of the organization. So you're trying to create awareness that there's some sort of AI principles that we abide by as an organization. We have some sort of objectives that we have. So that would be the very first, I would call it easier step because it doesn't it needs so much effort. But always the first step towards it is creating an AI inventory, and I would not underestimate how hard it is. But at least having some sort of trace, like I have identified all the in-scope systems that we're working with, just to understand the landscape. Does your organization be like, ah, let's govern AI, but maybe you do not even have like three AI systems in your organization, then you don't need to make a big fuss about it. Or you have a lot of AI and you need to ensure that there's not a lot of shadow AI or some sitting somewhere in your organization, I don't know, in some other country. So the first step is, in my opinion, would be to identify the systems that you have in your organization.
Thank you so much, Priscil. I guess these were the questions that we were having so far. But yes, if any one of you is having questions in the future, you can always feel free to reach out to Priscil on LinkedIn. Like, make sure you're following her on LinkedIn. And I have shared her LinkedIn link over the chat box. And yes, Prescott, I guess that were all the questions that we were having. So thank you so much once again. And yes, before we call this session off, would you like to give us any final statement?
I'd say it's great that you're interested in AI governance topics. I think it's given the changing rapid landscape of AI, It's important to stay on top of it and to consider that governance is a very important topic. A lot of people associate it with something negative to control AI and control the innovation, but governance is what protects organizations, what protects customers, what protects individuals. So if you have any questions, particularly anything regarding regulation on the EU AI Act, please feel free to reach out. This is my day-to-day operational work. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Prescal, once again for the insightful session, and we absolutely look forward having you once again sometime in the future to gain more insights from you. So yes, thank you so much. And yeah, I have other few announcements to make. So let me share my screen.
Thank
So
you.
tomorrow,
I'll leave the call. Bye bye.
sure. Thank you. So tomorrow we will be having Hilal, and she will be giving us session on managing IT changes effectively under ISO many thousand to reduce risk. So make sure you're joining that session. And also those who would like to opt for the certificate, they will be getting 20% special discount. All you have to do is use the code ISO D20. And the GSDC has also launched a utility tool that is 400% free for the participants who join today. Utility tool will help you make a professional visibility virtually. So make sure you're grabbing this great opportunity to get the utility tool. And yes, we also have learning and development series going on this week, followed with the AI series. So if it's something that interests you, make sure you're part of it. And if you have any business queries, you can reach out to any of the email addresses that you're seeing below, and they will be happy to get you started. And now it's time to celebrate our referral champions, Astik Saxena, Rakesh Ranjan, and Bandi Hemant. If you're someone who would like to invite your colleague, co-workers, or community to one of these sessions and earn vouchers worth $400 from GSDC, all you have to do is to be a part of this leaderboard ship. And as soon as you start to climb up the leaderboard, you earn vouchers worth $400 from GSDC. And if you would like to be a part of any learning capsule, webinar, or podcast, you can reach out to me on gauri@gsdccouncil.org, and I'd be happy to get you started from there. And these are our scanners. So you can make sure you're following us on LinkedIn. You can also visit our website. You can join the exclusive WhatsApp group that keeps you updated about all the session. And if you can kindly share your session takeaways and learning outcomes on reviews.io, we would be delighted to read them. And with this, we're coming to an end for today's session. I will be seeing you all in tomorrow's session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and have a good day and good